Alright, welcome my little designsters. What I'm going to talk about in this session is Behance setup, layout and flow, and why design your presentation. Your challenge is to take your layouts that you've already put together and start to lay out and design your presentation for next Tuesday's class. So I want to talk about to you in step one, specifically of why you need to take the time to design and present your work properly. How you present your work is just as important as how you make it. So if it's not clear and easy to understand, then you're really going to be doing your project a disservice. So let's get started. The first thing you want to do is go and download the files off of the Canvas site. So it's pretty straightforward. There's template files for Behance presentation under week 7. You just want to download that. When you do, you should see a zip file. You just put that zip file into your design and thinking. And then you should see Illustrator template, fonts, and links. In the links, there's 2 PSD files, and we'll go over that in a little bit. So to get started, just going to open the Behance template. And then the other thing you'll want to do is open your design template or designs that you've been working on. So something like this. It's pretty straightforward. With the overall design for Behance, the main thing you really need to know from a setup and sizing standpoint, and in this document it's pretty easy to see. If I click on the artboard, that we have a 1400 pixel wide presentation. So on Behance, that does full bleed in your presentation. Then we have a max height of 8,000. This is kind of an Adobe default, meaning that after 8,000 total pixels tall, if you were to do 9,000, for example, Adobe naturally downsizes your graphic to an 8,000 height image. So again, for any presentations you do in the future on Behance, just make sure that they're never taller than 8,000 pixels. So what are we looking at here? It's just basically an outline of how to put your presentation together. So what we have is a graphic that you can make that kind of summarizes your overall project, the title of the project, a short little paragraph description, a iPhone and a desktop version of your designs. Again, just a little context of what the project was about. And then I've just blocked in, and this is where you'll place your homepage design, your mobile home, your feature 1, your feature 2, and probably feature 3 and 4, depending on how much and how far you've developed your project. So again, this is pretty straightforward. Just go through a few steps. I'm going to take my home page, so all of you have a home page design, and all I'm going to do is copy. And our homepage designs are done at 1280, so they actually fit really nicely into the 1400 pixel wide template. One of the key things you want to remember is your alignments and your spacing. So what I've added for everybody is a little arrow device. Now you don't have to keep this, but what it helps is it helps keep consistent spacing between one design and the next. So again, if you want to delete that, that's fine, but use it to do your initial presentation. So all I'm going to do is paste my design in. Now some of you have where like this homepage is a little bit shorter in height, Some of you may have it a little bit taller. All you got to do is select the design below it, the blocking below it, and just move it appropriately. So now I'll just get rid of the gray, take my mobile home and shift that up. Mobile home, yeah, that's kind of funny. And then I want to do is get my mobile home design. And copy and paste that. One of the things you'll want to make sure you do, just so you don't drive yourself nuts, is make sure you group the entire design before you copy and paste it in. Otherwise, it may be hard to select and actually move the design. So again, just make sure you're grouping it. So we have multiple artboards that we're working with set at 8,000. You can see that once I plug in the next design, which a lot of you have taller designs with more height to them. So you can see I have a huge gap here between the top of the design I'm working on and the bottom. And you can see also I won't be able to fit that design into the 8,000 tall pixel dimension. So what I want to do is hit Document, Edit Artboard, and just want to pull this artboard up so that it butts up against my design. So you can see when I go to put my final presentation together, this would be a JPEG, and this will be another JPEG, and this will just butt underneath the design I have. And so the process continues. It's pretty straightforward. You're going to take your next design. This is my feature 1. I'm going to paste this in. Again, you can see this design is taller. So I'm going to have to take this and shift this down. Again, if you hold shift, it allows the design to stay locked in place. So hold shift when you're moving your files. Just going to delete the gray from behind. Again, one of the key things you want to make sure you're paying attention to is when you go and center the design, that your column gutters are all the same. And also you want to change the name of the feature to the title of the section. So if you're doing an editorial page or a section for a store description or a store profile or a user profile, again, you just want to make sure you title it. And you'll just continue this process until you have all your pages in place. Again, I only created 2 templates, but if you need a third, it's pretty straightforward. You just hit Document Setup, Edit Artboards. You can copy the one you have here, or you simply can draw one and change the width to 1400. And I always just set it at 8,000 because then I know my total height that I'm allowed to work with. So you can just keep adding more templates as needed. The key thing is to make sure when you're laying out your final presentation here that you keep moving and butting up the bottom so the next graphic lines up right against it. So I'm starting to put my design together. Again, you guys can copy and paste and finish it out. The next step is to actually import your design into the iPhone and the desktop version here. Again, a context graphic is always really good to implement. So if I just go to my folder for the Behance template, I have an iMac and an iPhone. just open these in Photoshop. You don't have to worry about the fonts. So on the iPhone, it says place your design here. If you double click this, don't worry about the type. You can copy and paste your iPhone or your mobile design into the iPhone version here. So I'm just going to go back to my designs in Illustrator. Again, make sure you have it grouped. I'm just going to copy. And then into Photoshop, I'm going to paste. And you want to keep it as a smart object so you can scale it without pixelating it. So I'm going to hit OK. And what you can do is just hold Shift and scale this guy up. To fit the design of the PSD template. So again, you just want to get it comfortable and appropriate, and I'm just going to bring it down. You can see it's a little too close to the edge, so again, just make sure you give yourself enough space. So when I hit save here, this is a smart object in Photoshop. It will actually update it in the design here. So you can see, just be careful what it looks like in the smart object. You may have to edit. There may be a small hairline pixel in here. So again, just make sure, get it to the edge. If that's not the case, move it and scale it up in the smart object. So again, just tweak it to get it to work. Then when I save it here, it will ask me that I've modified one of the links in my file, and I'm going to hit yes. Then in my template, it updates it. So in the PSD file for the iMac, if you go under iMac front, there is a wallpaper. It does the same thing. It's a smart object. If I open that smart object, I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to scale, copy and paste and scale my design. Hit save. Gotta make sure you save it. Then, if you did it properly, it'll always kick up that you want to modify it. If I hit yes, it will update it in my design. So you can see I've started to put my presentation template together. And also, one of the last steps you'll want to do is, again, put the title, a short description, and create a cool graphic that summarizes your overall project. So, in summary, 2 key takeaways is, number one, why you want to take the time to put a good presentation together. I think that's pretty easy to understand at this point, that presenting your work is just as important as making it. Making sure that what you're showing is clear, easy to understand, and again, the design of it isn't getting in the way of presenting your overall look and feel for your project. And then lastly, we just went over all the basics that you can apply to any project that you do at Ringling and how you can present that via Behance. So I hope this demo was helpful. Please take the time to review through it, and if you have any questions on Tuesday, please bring them to class. Thank you.